I don't think that the cultural shift to non-alcoholic drinks are diminishing our products at all. But more than that, I think it's also important to expand globally, which is why I think that as important as it is to retain our strong products here, I think it's also very important to show the world what Tanduay can do.
Thought-provoking conversations with the people shaping our country. We uncover stories behind the headlines with influential voices from the Philippines and beyond. This is Manila Bulletin's The Sit Down.
Welcome to another episode of The Sit Down. I'm Chino Leico, Manila Bulletin Business Editor.
I'm James Loyola, the stock market reporter for Manila Bulletin.
Today we have a very special guest, a young leader who is at the forefront of one of the Philippines' most iconic brands. He is the grandson of Taipan Lucio Tan and the chief operating officer for a brand that has become a global giant, Tanduay Distillers. Joining us is Mr. Kyle Tan. Thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So before we get into the business side of things, we're curious about your transition. After living for so long in the US, what was maybe the biggest adjustments for you coming home to Manila?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, besides the traffic, I would say the biggest adjustment is just switching up industries. In the US, my training was specifically for software engineering, software development. And when I came back, I had to learn how to navigate just management in general, as well as different business practices, business models. And learning that during the pandemic as well was kind of like a double transition, because not only was the work very different, but the lifestyle was also extremely different from when I was in the US.
But what are the biggest in corporate? What is the biggest cultural corporate differences you've had to navigate since you returned to Manila?
Yeah, I think, and this is probably a good thing, but one of the cultural differences really is that in the Philippines, I'm learning that a lot of the businesses, at least maybe because it's a little bit of a family business, it's really like a family. And people are connected in various different ways, even outside of work. Versus when I was doing my individual contributor work in the US as a software developer, it's a lot more monotonous. And I guess there was no connection outside of the office. So I think learning how to connect with the people I'm working with inside and outside the office is something that was a pleasant surprise, but definitely an adjustment coming back. Yeah.
And it's business. Your business is very traditional. I mean, you have to speak with people coming from different walks of lives.
Yeah.
You grew up in the U.S. I'm sure. Are you fluent in Tagalog?
No, definitely not. I'm learning, but I think I'm getting a little bit better. I think, but to kind of bridge the gap between those 2 points, I don't think the fact that I can't really speak amazing Tagalog impeded connecting with the people here. I think everyone at the company level and outside have been extremely positive, and I don't think that was a big shift at all. It felt like I was accepted immediately.
But you understand.
Konti.
Now, Tanduay has achieved a major success in international expansion. Could you elaborate on the specific strategies you've used to penetrate new markets, particularly in North America and Europe?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of forces that act on that, on the success of Tanduay for sure. I think a tremendous component of that is really, it's really the confidence in the product, confidence in the liquid. And what I mean by that is, this is a generational product. It's been, our formulas, our liquid has been honed throughout years, even before my grandfather acquired it in the mid-1900s. And that combined with the fact that our aging process is really done locally in the Philippines produces something extremely special. And I think that as a foundation translates very well in a global market. So everyone, a lot of people in Manila, in the Philippines already know about Tanduay, but when we started branching out globally, because we had such a powerful and strong product, I think it was a natural magnet to a lot of the distributors and a lot of the off-takers in a global context.
And we all know that Tanduay is world's number one rum. To what uh, to what do you attribute this sustained success?
Yeah, and I think it's really the people. I think it's really the people. One of the biggest things we do is culturally within Tanduay, the motto is really to have fun with the product, have fun with the process, and I think that creates a connection between the people that are working on the product and our drinkers. So that connection is very important, and I think when the people working on the product are passionate about it, um, it the creative juices are flowing, and I think that the innovations that we create out of that are world class. So
What about the changing consumer preference, particularly in the Philippines? You know, Gen Z now are shifting towards non-alcoholic options such as coffee. So what is Tanduay's strategy for navigating this changing market?
yeah, I think what changing market is one thing, but I also think that it's just a growing market in general. I think that there will always be a place for Tanduay as a rum product in the market. I don't think that the cultural shift to non-alcoholic drinks are diminishing our products at all. But more than that, I think it's also important to expand globally, which is why I think that as important as it is to retain our strong products here, I think it's also very important to show the world what Tanduay can do.
You still see growth here in the domestic market,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's a tremendous upside.
particularly in what region?
I think there's a tremendous upside in the Luzon areas, Metro Manila. I think that in many aspects, we have a lot to improve. We've been primarily focused on, strong markets in Mindanao, Visayas, as well as a lot of countries that we're expanding to globally. And because our head office is here, now we're focusing some of our efforts into the Metro Manila market, and it's actually growing quite a bit. So we're very excited about that.
But Luzon, you said Luzon is the largest.
Luzon is not the largest, but we would hope for it to be larger.
Luzon is basically a gin market, while Visayas and Mindanao prefers rum.
Mindanao prefers rum, that's correct, as the spirit of choice, and so does Visayas.
So when you're growing your business in Luzon, you're taking market share from the dominant gin producer.
Well, that's the capitalist competition, the beauty of capitalism. Yes, well, I mean, gin is a very strong market in Luzon. That's no doubt. I think that, and going back to the point on creativity, I think that there are a lot of things on the marketing end that we have done in the past that have been tremendous. Have given us tremendous momentum on that aspect. I think that there's a lot for us to still do in Luzon. And again, like we're very confident about the liquid in general and our product. And I think that it's just a matter of time and velocity for the market to really take off in Luzon.
So what's your strategy for Luzon? What would make the consumer shift from their preferred gin to rum?
Well, we just have to continually innovate on that front, right? We have a strong distribution network. That is our strength in Luzon. We have a robust set of sister companies that really help us out, that are very strong on the marketing end, at least. So that's definitely key. And then on the consumer end, it's really just an awareness of the consumer trends, like we mentioned before, and the shift to maybe not purely non-alcoholic drinks, but RTD drinks, alco pops, and other things that can kind of be more innovative and not as strong potentially. Yeah.
So these new products that are targeted for the younger market, how well are they doing? What's their revenue share now for Tanduay?
Well, currently, it depends on per SKU, right? I will say that they're definitely growing. It's a tough question to answer because part of our marketing plan is not really getting an ROI in the first year. Usually when you create new products, you expect kind of losses on the first maybe couple of years, your marketing expense kind of outweighs the amount of revenue you're getting for that particular product. And then as the years go by, maybe 3 to 5 years down the line, the forecast really shows that if you have a product that hits, it should flip, where you should be, it should be successful enough to be more profitable. So right now, because we kicked off a lot of our new products within the past couple of years, we're investing a lot of capital on the future prospect of those products. And we're expecting, or we're seeing growth that we want to. But as of now, because we're so dominant and doing extremely well in our other SKUs, it's a small portion.
Your background in computer engineering, definitely it influenced, your influence, your approach into innovation. So, this business is very traditional. So, can you give us an example of a technology or data-driven initiative you've implemented at Tanduay to improve efficiency?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think nowadays you can't, every business, traditional business that you deal with even, you can't unlink technology. One of the biggest things in Tanduay specifically that we've done, well, two things I'll talk about, is one is the e-commerce platforms, linking to company website portals and such. We, especially during the pandemic, there necessitated this demand for potentially going to e-commerce platforms because the traditional stores, on-premise locations were compromised. So our digital initiative to create our shots.ph platform was an initiative led by the team, and of course I was involved in that. And that's when we really started picking up on our online sales. Yeah.
You have your own e-commerce platform, or you just...
That's right. Yeah. Well, we join others too, but we have our own. Yeah.
How is it?
So it's doing very well. Since the pandemic, I think that's really when we took off, especially in Luzon. Like we, just from the convenience aspect and from the need at the time to do more online transaction.
With the focus on expanding into premium segment, right? How are you balancing the need to maintain your brand's core identity as distinctly Filipino?
Yeah, I mean, I think premium and Filipino, distinctly Filipino, don't have to be separate. I think that they can be one and the same, right? Of course, we have our SKUs here, and we're continue to hone them and really grow those products. But at the same time, when we started doing global expansion, a lot of the things that distributors and the markets abroad were kind of reaching out to us and giving us feedback on is certain premiumizations that would help on the global expansion, and doing investing a lot of capital in that and growing that market while still being traditionally Filipino. Age in the Philippines, using the products that we own here in the Philippines, grow here in the Philippines. It works. It works very well, and because our global market and our global cases are selling a lot more now, we're seeing that a Filipino product can really compete in a global context.
After North America and Europe, what's the next markets that you're looking at?
I think Asia, other parts of Asia, are extremely promising. I don't want to give too much away, but yes, we're looking at a lot of Asian countries do have a tremendous amount of from the initial market interception. We're seeing a lot of positive feedback with our product, and so later on in the year, we're expecting to see a lot of exports going to Asian countries.
Yeah, currently, as a background, how much of your revenues are coming from exports?
From a revenue perspective, I would say that it's not to the point where it equals the share that we have locally. I think our local market is still like around 90%. But nevertheless, in terms of growth, year-on-year growth, the export market shows the most velocity in terms of growth. Again, we just started really pushing for the exports during the pandemic. So it's been maybe like 5 or so years, and we're already, rising in numbers, right? So I really think it's just a matter of time before it'll be a significant player.
What's your long-term target for exports revenue share? Like, are you looking at eventually half of your revenues or sales coming from export overseas?
That would be amazing. Honestly, the export market has a significant amount of potential because globally, there's just a lot of demand for this type of product. And the quality that Tanduay brings, again, going back to the distinctly Filipino aspect, is just, it's so easy because sometimes it even sells itself. Like when we talk to distributors, when we give them the product, it's like a handshake already. So we just see a lot of potential. I think 50% would be amazing, right? That would be a huge target and a huge goal. But year on year, we're seeing double-digit growth. So we're humbled by that, and we're just continuing to do what we do best. Yeah.
For the export market, sir, what is your preferred brand overseas? Is it the flagship Tanduay 5, or is it the more premium products that you're interested in?
We have a different set of SKUs for the premium products. We have like Tanduay Gold, Tanduay Silver, there's Double Rum. We're doing a lot of new products this year and next year. It's called Project Tesoro, and we're hoping to release that into the market later on this year. So that would be very exciting because we got together a lot of different studies and distributors to help craft something like that. So yeah, it's a different line, the exports.
Okay, no, I'd like to ask naman as being the third generation leader of the Luciton Group, what are the core values or lesson from your family's legacy? Do you prioritize in your current roles in both Tanduay and the broader conglomerate?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest and the most driven aspect that the family really tries to instill in everybody is like just the discipline and hard work. And I think that everything comes downstream from that. So that for sure is a huge aspect of how I carry myself every day. I think more than that though, it's really a sense of just that you're not alone in what you do. And that, all the successes and failures and good things are shared by, family as well as, everyone in the companies. We're all together as also one family in that, so to speak. And so what that really does is it puts a lot of the pressure and stress off sometimes, where it could be overwhelming seemingly, but if you consider the belonging and the fact that, there's a lot of people with me on this, I can just put my head down and do the work. And I think that that's a huge upside, and I'm very grateful for that.
What's your usual work day? When you wake up in the morning, how long do you do?
Usually, I try to stop working past like 6:30, to be honest. But because it's kind of a family business, sometimes it's hard to escape because if your family are your work peers, then even at dinner and stuff, you're still technically working because you're talking about things. So in a sense, like you're always working, but also in a way, it's also like fun and fulfilling. So it's good.
What's your morning
routine? I try to get up really early, and I try to work out, do a little bit of get my heart beating a little bit before work, and then I would head to the office. And
How are you?
I try to wake up around 5:30. 5:30.
So you and your brother, Lucio Tan, or LT3, share leadership roles, right? So can you describe your working relationship and how you balance your perspective strengths?
Yeah. for sure. In very many ways, we're similar, and in very many ways, we're different. I think the best relationship that we have in the working context is the fact that we trust each other 100%. And going back to the idea that, you're not alone in the job, I don't feel that way because he's there and vice versa. So when I'm doing something and maybe I'm too busy one day to do two things at once, and we'll say, okay, I'll do A, you'll do B, and then vice versa. So in a way, and then I don't ever doubt the integrity or doubt anything that he does. I have 100% confidence in whatever he does, and he does to me as well. So we're kind of like two people dividing and conquering sometimes, which is a very nice relationship.
When you have major plans or big investments, you discuss it between the two of you.
Absolutely.
So what's the typical big picture idea? For example, a new international market expansion. How do you discuss that, and how you decided upon between the two of you?
Well, we currently live together, so that's a very easy to kind of huddle in at night. It's usually at night, actually after dinner or something where we're about to, either early in the morning too, right? Whenever we were together at the same space. And then we usually, because we're also with our grandparents, we talk to them over a meal, and we present the facts maybe that the management has presented as well, and then we deliberate on a certain expansion plan or on a certain acquisition or whatever it may be. And then unless there's a unanimous agreement on every party, we won't do it. So that's kind of because if one person is strongly opposed to it, then it just doesn't work. And it's gonna potentially cause disagreement down the line. So we have to make sure that everyone is in agreement. For better or for worse. But honestly, I think it's proven to be very successful so far.
What outside of work, sir? What do you guys do? How do you bond as brothers?
We like working out together. Yeah, so we work out together. He also, basketball is a huge pastime that we share. He's kind of the coach and I'm the player, is what he would say. He's like Steve Kerr, and I'm like maybe a Sean Livingston, I think. So yeah, that would be the bonding.
Do you hang out? Do you go out together?
All the time.
People your age. Do you have a lot of friends here in the Philippines?
I like to think so. I think quality friends too. So I think that's the important part.
Do you get to hang out in public places, restaurants?
Oh yeah,
bars?
of course.
Yeah.
I guess you must have a very busy social schedule, being two top bachelors.
I would say it's a average social schedule. Yeah.
The two of you are,
The two of us. Yeah. Same circle as well. So we're very happy.
and both of you are two of the most eligible bachelors.
Thank you for saying that.
Anyway, about managing pressures. I mean, expectations. You come from a very prominent business family. How do you deal with that?
I like the pressure of being part of the family. Going back to what we discussed earlier, I think one of the things that the family has instilled in us is really this discipline and work ethic. And we just kind of use that as our internal compass that kind of drives us forward. And then obviously the external pressures that come into that, we just kind of look at that compass and not really focus on what's going on the outside. I mean, there's no positive in focusing on the pressure anyway. So that's kind of what we do.
But your own leadership style, how do you define your own leadership style from the family legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think leadership, for me at least, is really less about doing everything yourself and more about empowering people underneath you from a company perspective to really be able to achieve and be successful as well. So giving a lot of flexibility, but at the same time structure is a balance that I'm still grappling with, but I want to really optimize because we have extremely talented people in all of the companies that we have, and to be able to set everyone up for success so that they can innovate, they can really drive the company in their own way forward, I think is the most important thing, instead of trying to just do everything myself.
Do you still go outside? I mean, visit your farm in Batangas. I mean, your facility in Batangas.
Yeah, well, there's a different companies have different facilities in Batangas. Tanduay, we have production in Batangas. Eaton, we have a lot of properties there. Eaton City is located in Santa Rosa, and so yeah, I'm constantly there. I mean, maybe like a couple times every quarter.
Speaking of your father, I mean, your father left a remarkable legacy. And if you're comfortable speaking about it, looking back on the difficult time of November 2019, how did that experience shape your professional journey and how your perspective on leadership and legacy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the hardships that the family has faced in 2019 November is, I mean, oftentimes it's too hard to describe into words sometimes. But in a way, it kind of calloused us to just understanding that, one, to take every moment not for granted, but two, really that like all hardships, you can move forward from, and you can learn from. So I think that's the main takeaway. And two and three, actually, it's like the idea that his legacy and his existence meant a lot to the Philippines and to other companies. So in a way, like me being here, my brother also, we're standing on his shoulders as well, and we're all together when we drive forward. So it makes us more motivated to continue to grow what he started in many ways.
And you also mentioned in one of your interviews that your grandfather has been a constant source of inspiration for you. Can you tell us more about the lesson you've learned from your grandpa?
Yeah, I mean, for one, like his work ethic is probably the best work ethic that I've ever seen in anybody. So that alone, I kind of look up to tremendously. But more so than that, like everything that I've learned from a business perspective, coming back from being a software engineer, his philosophies on business is something that I've internalized and used as kind of like my North Star, in that, so to speak. So whenever I'm thinking about a particular business decision, I would oftentimes look at the philosophies that he's kind of instilled in us and being like, okay, I'm not sure what logically to do in this situation, but what would he do? And I feel like it's been very helpful to me so far.
And you, as a young leader like you, Kyle, often face skepticism from the outside, which definitely you had to overcome. So what was your approach to managing that narrative of skepticism? And what advice would you give to others in similar position?
Yeah, again, going back to just the values that the family has instilled in like work ethic and just drive to move the company forward, and using that as the compass. You focus on the work ethic and you don't focus on the pressure, external pressures, and the doubt, because you can't really directly change other people's saying things about you by thinking about it. So you kind of just have to do the work, and then if adjacently it changes, good. If not, then you can't change it by thinking about it more. So yeah.
You seem to have applied all of that very well, because in just less than 5 years on the job, your company is already posting record profits. Mm-hmm. So, what did you do? What did you do right? What's your sweet spot? How come you're here now, where profits are growing much faster than sales?
Yeah, there's a lot of forces that we've done to have these record high profits. And again, it just stems from the work ethic and the drive to move forward. But I think that a huge, significant portion of that is really understanding down to the exact details our costs in all the different companies, and really just trying to optimize it down to the peso. So these small wins that we have innovated on every single day, every single week, really add up over the courses of years. And I think that, if looking at the statements, looking at the P&Ls, it really reflects that. So I would say it's a lot of small wins that constantly add up just by delving deep into the business, into the numbers, and understanding what we can do day to day to optimize.
What I find curious is that in your first half report, you said you spent less on marketing and advertising, and yet you were reporting bigger market share. So usually market share grows with ad spend. So, but in your case, it's not. So how do you increase your sales while at the same time reduce your marketing expenses?
Yeah, I think the innovation is one huge thing. Since the pandemic, we understood the marketing marketing channels are definitely shifting. What used to be mainly, radios per se, TV stations, or above the line marketing endeavors. Now a lot of people are looking at social media, for example, and that has even more of a reach, in many cases, if you do it right, than the former. So, and with a fraction of the cost. So it's things like that kind of the pandemic kind of shaken us up to kind of innovate on, have reduced the marketing tremendously from the spending perspective, but at the same time allowed us to still have the same reach, actually even better reach. So I would say just the shifting marketing consumer demand.
So do you see the company posting record profits for the rest of the year, for 2025 and beyond?
Of course. No, I hope so. We have a lot of different initiatives lined up, both on the cost optimization side, but also on the product side, on the global expansion, among others. And so we're really optimistic on this trend. We have a lot to still improve on, to be honest, but I think we've come a long way.
With your sales growing and you're trying to reach new markets, how's your capacity now? Would you need to be expanding, building new plants, or expanding existing plants?
We're in about a week. We're actually going to a production convention in Germany, and we've earmarked certain lines that we want to either create or really optimize, because we're very prospect on the fact that our volumes will be growing in the future. And so just to keep up, like what you said, to keep up with that demand, we really need these flexible lines that could continuously just dish out new products at a very high velocity. So yes, basically.
Where is that, sir? Where's your new plant going to be?
Oh, it's not going to be a new plant, rather, but just within our existing plants, we'll have lines that are created to necessitate and to fit the demand that we're projecting.
That's for the Luzon market, the expansion is?
Everything. Luzon market, global context. Yeah, we have lines earmarked for creation. Yeah.
Among your products, what's your favorite?
So I grew up when I was watching the Warriors games, because Tanduay is also partners with the Warriors. I always drank the double rum that was at the stadium. So for me, it's just very nostalgic, and it's a very smooth alcohol. So I really like that personally. That's my favorite.
And hopefully you drank that at 18.
Well, in the US, it's 21. So I have to say 21, yes.
When was your first experience of Tanduay around?
I would say when I'm 21.
Are you sure?
Or in the Philippines, maybe 18.
All right.
But yeah, sometime around there, and it was really our export products, because that's where I was growing up at the time when I could.
Did you drink that on the rocks, or?
It was just on the rocks, yeah. But the cocktails they make at the stadium are actually pretty nice.
Do you make your own cocktails with your...
Oh, they won't let me. But I do at the
Sir,
house.
what's your vision for Tanduay, sir? Where do you see Tanduay 10, 20, 30 years from now? What's your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal for the company?
I mean, definitely a global brand. I think that our growth on the export side is a precursor to a huge global presence downstream or down the line years from now. Since 2020, we've almost tripled maybe our global sales, our export sales, and I think that if we continue that trend in 5 more years, it'll be even more and exponentially from there. So definitely global presence and just showing a Filipino product can compete on a global stage is really the goal.
And this is
Do you see yourself putting up plants also overseas eventually?
Definitely. I think that could be an interesting aspect.
and this is our last question. If you had to do your own sit down, who is the one person you would want to interview?
Interesting. I would want to interview. Can I say this? I think it would be really fun to interview someone like Elon Musk. Just because I think as from a business and technology perspective, he kind of understands how to marry the two components, and I think he also has very interesting rhetoric. So I don't know if I can say that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Kyle.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure having you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.